Hey everyone, Amy Belzer-Tennant here, the Genealogy reporter, and it is another episode of Genealogy Thoughts Thursday. I'm asking the question today, is genealogy science? So first, I think we need to define genealogy and then science. Genealogy. Okay, Wikipedia says that genealogy is the study of families, family history, and the tracing of lineages. The Oxford Dictionary says, the study and tracing of lines of descent or development. Thought that was a little bit more interesting description. Sounded a little more scientific, if you will. Now, the fields of science are extensive. There are lots of types of sciences. So this is a very generic definition of what is a science. The intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. And I was thinking about whether or not that kind of applied to genealogy when I found the second definition that I liked a little bit better. Science is a systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions. That fit genealogy, or at least I think it did. And as we begin to study genealogy more deeply, these other sciences really come into play. And I wonder if you have found that is the case as well. Are you interested in other sciences? Maybe like anthropology, the study of humans and human behavior and cultures and so forth, or the study of genetics. Obviously, a lot of us are starting to study significantly into genetics because of DNA and so forth. And the study of genetics is about those genes that come into play that define who our parental persons were, and then what things can be transferred to offspring. And so that's really fascinating, and how that works. And then of course in identification, that's a big reason why we use DNA. I was thinking about geography and sociology, archaeology, I could name literally dozens of sciences that very much fit into genealogy, and why as a genealogist, we should be studying these other sciences because they really meld together. So I have a couple of examples. I had a story that was passed on to me in our family history about my grandma. Now, the story was, and it was a secondhand story, so this is what I got, was that as a little girl, she was sleeping in bed with one of her sisters, okay? And she was about 7 years old. And when she woke up, she turned around or turned over and saw her sister had died in the night. And her tongue, the sister's tongue, was black, very swollen, so much so that they couldn't get it back into her mouth. Okay? That's the story. Now, if you take that story and apply it to another type of science, say pathology, the study of diseases, you might begin to wonder about what kind of illness would have caused a reaction of this black swollen tongue and killed somebody. It was diphtheria. That's what it is. Diphtheria is a bacterial disease that is extremely contagious. It's airborne, and it will cause, among other things, this grayish membrane to cover the tonsils and throat and tongue and make it very swollen, and therefore cut off the airway and suffocate the person. So another part of that story was the fact that Grandma was sleeping in the same bed with the deceased. Why would she be sleeping in the same bed as someone that sick? I told you before that I learned that diphtheria is passed by simply droplets in the air. So a cough or a sneeze could easily pass that disease on to another. Why would you put your child in the same bed with a sick one? Probably because they were both sick. If they're both sick and you're treating them for the same thing, that would make sense. So even though that wasn't necessarily part of the story, Grandma had diphtheria and lived, and I could be mistaken. I think that when we look at the story and apply it to other types of sciences and in a scientific way, we could then deduce or determine that Grandma also had diphtheria. I wanted to share with you just how exciting it is to think of ourselves, genealogists, as scientists, and how we can apply other science fields to our study and really develop our family history and genealogy into something much more. So what do you think? Is genealogy a science? Do you think of yourself as a type of scientist? I know we often talk about ourselves as researchers. So leave me a message or a comment in the comment section below. I'd like to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It's free, so go ahead and click that button. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.